I got into self-advocacy work when I was back in 2010 because I volunteered 40 hours at a school. It was a school for mentally, physically, and emotionally behaved kids. And my mom was the principal of the school. And so I, at the time, didn't have services. I too have Asperger's, PTSD, and I have a seizure disorder. And so I was waiting for the waiver service to kick in for me. And so in order for me to get something to do during the day, I would volunteer until I get services, or until I got services at my mom's school, which was Sanders. And so that opened up my eyes to self-advocacy work. I became president of Self Advocates of Indiana back in 2017, I believe. I won the Self Advocate, Darkest NIM Self Advocates of the Year award back in 2017. And I believe I think that was around the time I became president. It was later in that year. And so I sat on about roughly about 12 boards for people with disabilities with the state. And that's how I would spend my time. I was on the DDARS committee. I was on the there's a committee here in Bloomington through IU for disability and community. I sat on that. I sat on the community of practice board. I ended up I rolled off as president, became vice president, and then I currently still sit on the board as a self-advocate as Region 5 representative. And I have ran my local self-advocate group in Hendricks County before I moved to Bloomington. I do a lot of work with Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence, raising awareness about how people with disabilities are the most target when it comes to sexual violence and exploitation and abuse. I created back in the beginning of August 2018. I was awarded a project where I got paid $5,000 throughout the project to create a toolkit to help. It's for self-advocates to help them understand sexual violence, exploitation, and abuse. And it's also for providers and DSPs. And I've presented on that couple times now. I just presented on that at the Governor's Council for People with Disabilities at their conference. I also have worked as a DSP through DAMAR, and I'm actually starting a job today as a DSP here in Bloomington with Help at Home. And this is actually a dream job of mine, but my ultimate goal is to become state senator one of these days, because the representatives and state senators don't take people with disabilities into consideration when it comes to making decisions for us and how we feel when it comes to bills that include us. Part of my toolkit talks about how that we are sexual human beings, and the fact that we're just like everybody else also goes along with the fact that in schools, a lot of people with disabilities get not allowed to take the sex ed classes. It's I've got lofty goals when it comes to people with disabilities, what I want to do to help them, to help the world to understand people with disabilities